Tonight, we go into a story that begins with something small, something so ordinary it should have been forgettable. A quiet boy, a loud bully, and a simple act of kindness that would one day expose a crime no one wanted to see. But as you'll learn, nothing about this story is ordinary, and nothing about what happened next was accidental. In the dusty hallways of Ridgeway Community School, 11-year-old Samuel Adeyemi walked the same path every morning. Head down, shoulders curled inward, clutching his worn-out lunchbox like a shield. Samuel wasn't popular, he wasn't athletic, and to most teachers, he wasn't even noticeable. But to one person, he was a target. That person was Mr. Carden, the school's most celebrated teacher, the man students admired, the man parents trusted, the man who won Educator of the Year 3 years in a row. To everyone, Mr. Carden was a hero. But to Samuel, he was a nightmare. It started quietly. A sarcastic comment here, a public humiliation there, calling him slow, clumsy, spacey. Little jabs that landed like punches. Most kids ignored it, because Mr. Carden was the teacher who could do no wrong. But every day, the attacks escalated, and every day, Samuel shrank a little more. One Thursday afternoon, Samuel noticed something strange. As he walked into class, he saw a new girl sitting alone. Adaora, her eyes red like she'd been crying all morning. Her wrists were wrapped in gauze. She flinched every time someone passed by. Mr. Carden pretended not to notice her, but Samuel noticed. He always noticed the kids who looked like they didn't belong, because he understood how it felt. When lunchtime came, Adaora sat at an empty table. No food, no friends, just silence. Samuel hesitated, fear pressing on his ribs like a weight. Talking to her would draw attention. Attention meant retaliation, but something pushed him. A quiet voice inside saying, "If you don't help her, who will?" So Samuel sat down in front of her, opened his lunchbox, and pushed half his food toward her without saying a word. Adaora looked at him with disbelief. "That's for you," Samuel whispered. "You look hungry." The girl burst into tears, not loud, but the kind that breaks something inside a person. What Samuel didn't know was that this tiny act, this simple moment, would set off a chain of events that would shake Ridgeway School to its core, because Adaora was hiding something, and someone was hiding something about her, and that someone was Mr. Carden. The very next day, everything changed. During morning assembly, Principal Hernandez announced an emergency inspection of the school due to a matter of concern involving student safety. Her tone was sharp, uneasy. Teachers whispered. Students fidgeted. The hall felt colder. When the inspectors arrived, they went straight to Mr. Carden's classroom. No one knew why, but everyone felt the tension. Samuel sat at his desk, heart pounding, watching through the doorway as the school counselor escorted Adaora and her mother into the room. The mother's face was tight with anger. Adaora clung to her sleeve, shaking. Minutes later, voices erupted, shouting, denials. Papers slammed on tables. A chair dragged roughly across the floor. And then Mr. Carden stormed out, his face twisted with fury. His eyes locked on Samuel. For a moment, just a moment, something ugly flickered there. Recognition. Blame. As if Samuel, quiet, invisible Samuel, had done something to him. By afternoon, rumors flooded the school. Carden's been suspended. They found something in his office. It's about the new girl. Nobody knows what's coming next. But Samuel kept his head down. He didn't understand what role he played in any of this. All he did was share his lunch. Right? Wrong. Because when Samuel returned home that evening, His mother was waiting in the living room, wringing her hands, her face pale. "Samuel," she whispered, "Principal Hernandez called me. She wants to talk to you. Tonight." His stomach dropped. "Why? What happened?" Her voice quivered. "It's about Mr. Carden." At the school office, the principal leaned forward, clasping her hands tightly. "Samuel," she said softly, "Adaora told us something important, something she wouldn't have shared if not for your kindness." Samuel blinked, confused. "What did she tell you?" The principal hesitated. "She said, the reason she trusted you is because you were the first person who treated her with kindness. And because of that, she finally told us what Mr. Carden has been doing." Samuel's breath caught. What did he do?" The principal exchanged a grave look with the counselor. "We can't tell you everything yet, but what I can say is this. He has been hurting students, manipulating them, threatening them, and we believe he targeted you too." Samuel froze. The room spun. A cold sweat slid down his back. He thought the insults were just normal. He thought the humiliation was just his fault. He never imagined it was part of something bigger, something dangerous. "But Samuel," the principal continued, "there's something else." She reached into a folder and pulled out a photograph. This was found in Mr. Carden's desk. She slid the picture toward him. Samuel's heart stopped. It was a photo of him, taken months ago, taken without his knowledge, notes scribbled beside it, and one line circled in red. He knows something. A cold chill wrapped around his spine. Why would he have this?" Samuel whispered. The principal hesitated. "We don't know yet, but we think he believed you were a threat to him." A threat? Him? The shy boy who barely spoke? None of it made sense, but one thing did. Mr. Carden wasn't finished. That night, as Samuel lay in bed replaying everything, a sound echoed outside his window. Soft, deliberate, like footsteps on gravel. Samuel held his breath. Then, a shadow passed across the glass, slow, lingering, watching. Samuel's breath trembled, and then a voice whispered through the crack in the window frame. "You should have stayed quiet." Samuel, cut to black. Samuel froze as the whisper faded into the night. His heart hammered against his ribs, his breath shallow and broken. He didn't sleep, didn't blink, didn't move until dawn crept through his curtains like a trembling hope. But the fear stayed with him. At school the next morning, the air was thick with tension. Students whispered about police cars spotted near the entrance. Teachers exchanged coded glances. And everywhere Samuel walked, eyes followed him, not with mockery, but with a strange mixture of fear and curiosity. Principal Hernandez summoned him to her office immediately. Her face was grave but gentle. "Samuel," she said, "there was movement near your house last night. Officers are looking into it. We need to know if anything happened." Samuel hesitated, swallowing the terror still lodged in his throat. Before he could speak, Adaora and her mother entered. Adaora's eyes were wide with worry, but there was a quiet strength in them. "Samuel," she whispered, "you need to tell them." So he did. He told them everything. The shadow by his window, the whisper, the threat. The principal's expression darkened with each word. The counselor wrote rapidly, her pen trembling. "This confirms what we feared," the principal said quietly. "He's escalating, and he's focused on you." But before they could say more, the intercom screeched to life. "Lockdown. This is a lockdown. All students and staff, secure your rooms." Immediately, panic swept the school like a tidal wave. Doors slammed, lights flickered. Teachers shouted instructions. The principal shoved a cabinet. In front of her office door as heavy footsteps echoed down the hallway. Not hurried, not confused. Hunting. Samuel's stomach twisted. He knew who it was. The footsteps halted outside the door. The handle turned slowly. Adaora grabbed Samuel's hand, shaking violently. The knob rattled harder now, but the lock held. After a tense moment, the footsteps moved away. But the silence that followed was worse. And then, without warning, the window behind them shattered. Glass sprayed across the floor. A figure pulled itself through the opening with desperate strength. Mr. Carden. His eyes were wild, his breath ragged. "Samuel," he growled, "you ruined everything." He lunged forward, reaching for the boy. The principal slammed a fire extinguisher into his arm, giving Samuel just enough time to scramble backward. Police sirens wailed outside. Officers stormed the hallway, shouting commands. Carden roared in frustration and tried to flee. But this time, he didn't make it far. 2 officers tackled him to the ground outside the broken window. Screams echoed down the hall, but one voice rose above all. "Get his hands! He's resisting." In seconds, Carden was pinned, handcuffed, and dragged away screaming Samuel's name. The boy stared, trembling, as the teacher who tormented him was forced into a police car. But justice, real justice, was only beginning. Over the following days, investigation after investigation peeled back layer after layer of Carden's hidden crimes. Students stepped forward one by one, sharing stories of manipulation, threats, and secret punishments. Adaora revealed everything. Samuel's testimony filled in the final pieces. The truth exploded across the community like lightning. Ridgeway Community School was shaken to its foundations. Parents demanded answers. Authorities launched a district-wide inquiry. And through it all, one small detail kept surfacing in every report, every interview, every headline. The first breakthrough came because of a boy who shared his lunch. When the school reopened weeks later, Samuel walked through the halls with a quiet confidence he never had before. Students nodded respectfully. Teachers smiled warmly, and Principal Hernandez took him aside. "Samuel," she said, "you didn't just help Adaora. You helped every child in this school. You were brave when no one else knew what was happening. You stepped up when you didn't even realize how powerful your kindness was." Samuel lowered his eyes, shy as always. "I didn't do anything special." "Yes," she said softly, "you did. The smallest act of kindness can expose the deepest injustice." Adaora stood beside him, smiling for the first time since she arrived at Ridgeway. "You saved me," she whispered. "You saved all of us." Samuel felt warmth rise in his chest, something like pride, but gentler. For the first time, he no longer felt invisible. But as the final investigation wrapped up, the detectives returned to Ridgeway with one last update. Carden acted alone, they said. No accomplices, no partners, no one else involved. But something about the case still bothered Samuel. He remembered the photo, the notes, the phrase circled in red, "He knows something," and the whisper outside his window, "You should have stayed quiet." Why had Carden feared him so much? Why him, specifically? But the police insisted the threat was over. The case was closed. His mother hugged him tightly that night, whispering relief into his hair. Adaora's family thanked him again and again. The school held an assembly in his honor, and life slowly returned to normal. No shadows, no whispers, no fear, until, one evening, weeks later, Samuel opened his old lunchbox to clean it out. And there, tucked beneath the lining, was a folded piece of paper he had never seen before. His hands shook as he opened it. 3 words stared back at him. "It's not over." His breath caught, because the handwriting wasn't Mr. Carden's. It was someone else's. Somebody who had been close. Somebody who had access. Somebody still out there.